Hello, dear students. Let us learn the concept of recoverable schedule. Now, recoverability is the most important property that should be followed or observed by a schedule running multiple transactions. Before we learn what is recoverable schedule, it will be excellent if we learn what is non-recoverable schedule, because this is probably the most challenging part to understand which is a schedule non-recoverable. By the way, I have written many definitions over here, but my suggestion is, first of all, let us see a schedule which is non-recoverable. So I have directly jumped to example 2. By the way, example 1 shown here in the slide is the example of nice recoverable schedule, but here is non-recoverable schedule. Now here we are given two transactions T1 and T2 running concurrently. So let us call this schedule as S2. This schedule has two transactions T1 and T2. Let us say that the database store is storing value of A as 100. Let's say this data store might be stored on hard disk. Okay, now T1 starts first and reads the value of A, as you see. So this value of A will be read right from the data store. That means there will be a hard disk access done. By the way, then the value of A read by T1 will be 100. So maintaining A equal to 100 is necessary over here, isn't it? This A equal to 100 is maintained in the T1's buffer. We can say it's local memory, where the value of A has been stored as 100. And after that, there is write A shown in T1. But between read and write, there might be some change made to A. For instance, A might be changed as A minus 50. Let's say. Then A has become 100 minus 50. So A has become 50. Now observe this write operation. Now you might feel that A has become 50. You are correct. A has become 50 and we are writing A. But this write A does not mean that this value of A, which is 50, will be returned to the data store. No, not at all. This will be maintained by the T1's buffer. Look, T1's buffer had A equal to 100. Now T1's buffer has A equal to 50. So when will this 50, that is value of A, return permanently to the data store? Only when commit operation occurs in the transaction T1. So remember this. These changes are still not committed. So where were we? The data store has A equal to 100. T1's buffer has now loaded A equal to 100. Remember here there was a hard disk access. Then A was updated to 50, let's say. So write A operation has updated A equal to 50 in the buffer, not in the data store. Now, for some reason T1 is preempted, you can see, and T2 starts. So two transactions are running concurrently, correct? So T2 starts and there is a read A operation in the transaction T2. Now one might think that just as T1 transaction read the value of A from the data store, this T2 will also read the data from data store. No, not at all. Not at all. This time, when T2 tries to read the value of A, hard disk access won't be done. But the value of A read by T2 will be 50, the value that was already in the buffer. You will like this concept. Basically, this will simply reduce the number of hard disk access. And we want to reduce it because you know that accessing the data store will be a slow operation. So once the value is in the buffer, no doubt T2 is not going to go to the data store, but A read by T2 will be 50. I hope you're understanding. And then let's say between this read and write, there is some change made to A. Maybe A is increased by 100. Maybe. So A becomes 150. Now this write A operation, just check, this write A operation is going to write A equal to 150. But this write A is not going to write the changes in the data store. This value of A150 will be written in the data store only when commit operation occurs in the transaction T2. So where is this A equal to 150 really stored? In T2's buffer. Just observe that T2 also maintains its buffer, and last time T2 loaded A equal to 50 from the updated value which was done by T1. So in short, T2 reads updated value of A. This value, this updated value, this value of A was updated, by T1. Just remember this. Okay. So let me clean a few things. Where were we? Patiently just observe that A was 100. T1's buffer now loaded A equal to 100 from the disk. Then A got updated to 50. This 50 was read by T2, not from the hard disk, but from the buffer. So A became 50. Then A was updated to 150. So check, this is all happening in T2's buffer. Okay. Now commit operation is done by T2. Just observe, commit operation is done by T1 also, but that is after the commit of T2. What commit operation says is that whatever is the updated value has to be written to the data store. So T2 says my value in my buffer, the value of A is 150. So I will update the data store permanently. Check, this is permanent change. I will change it to 150. Okay, done. So what? And you observe that after commit, T2 ends. This transaction T2 has already ended. Now I hope you remember the ACID property. A means atomicity, C means consistency, I means isolation, and D means durability. The point is that once the changes are committed in the data store, then those changes are permanent. By permanent, what I mean is you have to believe that those changes are consistent and correct, by the way, and those changes cannot be changed. Once A is 150, it cannot be changed. Of course, some other transaction, some other new transaction can read this 150 from data store, update it, and then commit it again. But that's what is durability. Once the data is committed, it is permanent. Remember this. Okay, now what? T2 has ended. Now T1 resumes, and let's say that T1 before just committing fails. Just before the commit, T1 fails. Listen, T2 has already finished after committing, but now T1 fails over here. You observe, due to some possibly hard disk failure, or maybe power failure, or any kind of such software or hardware failure. T1 fails. Now you know the atomicity property, that a transaction cannot be left incomplete. It should either complete or it should not start. Whenever a transaction fails like this, such a transaction is aborted, is cancelled, and simply rolled back. So there is another word called rollback. Now, what rollback means is that T1 says, hello, I am not able to complete. So what I will do is, I will go back in that state in which I was last time. From the beginning, it starts all over again. So if it rolls back, what it does is that it says, let me go to the state in which it was when it started. So what was it doing? It had read A operation. Listen very carefully. Now this read A operation last time had fetched A equal to 100. A equal to 100. Listen, it has fetched A equal to 100. So A will be restored back to 100. You might feel that this read A operation is going to read the value of A from the hard disk. You may. You may argue on the point. Listen, but that doesn't happen. Basically, the value of A will be restored back to its original state. So A will be 100, then A becomes 50 because A was A minus 50. And then if commit occurs, if this does not fail second time, if commit occurs, then the new value of A, which is 50, will be returned back to the data store. So A is no more 150, A will be 50. Okay? Now you tell me, is this particular data which is written into the data store consistent? What really happened was, if originally A was 100 and we reduced 50 from it, so it became 50. But there was another transaction which was actually reading the value of A and increasing the value. This value 50 was read by T2, which was updated by T1. So if A read by, this was T1, if A read by T2 was 50 and we increased 100, the value was 150. But now the value in the data store is back to 50, which is wrong. Indeed, then we have lost all this work done by T2, isn't it? Because of the commit in T1, we have lost the changes done by T2. What that means is that all these things are happening due to a concept of dirty read. Just check the property of dirty read is, if T2 is reading a value of A which was updated by T1, but T1 has not yet committed. Before commit, T2 reads the value which was updated by T1, and if T2 commits first, then this read becomes dirty read. Why dirty read? Is because 100 was changed to 50. Now this 50 is read, this 50 is updated, and this 150, the new value, is even written in the data store. But then what if this another transaction fails? If transaction fails, then it says, no, 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 I am restarting again with the new values. So what about the value 50, which was read by T2 and updated the value to 150? This read operation becomes dirty, isn't it? Such schedules won't be recoverable at all. Why they won't be recoverable is because T2 has already finished. And when T1 is restarted again after rollback, then it writes its updated value, which is 50. So the earlier changes made by T2 are never ever going to be found back again. This is known as non-recoverable schedule. So if you put it in simple words, T2 reads updated value of A. Yes, this value of A was updated by T1, correct? T1 updated the value and T2 reads it, but T2 commits first, and then T1 commits, If this happens, then the read A operation done by T2 is called dirty read, and this may result, I am saying this may result in non-recoverable schedule. Why? Because it's not always necessary, isn't it, that here this T1 will fail. It's not always necessary. I hope you are understanding. By the way, if this commit operation, let's see, if this commit operation was written here, right here, Then what happens is whatever changes have been done by T1 are first returned to the data store. Okay. And now T2 tries to read the value of A. Obviously, T1 has already committed the values. Then this read A operation will read the new values from the data store because these changes have been permanently done in the data store. So A was written as 50. Observe that A was 100. Then A became 50, and now commit operation has permanently changed it to 50. Now A read will be 50, and if A is changed to 150, this commit operation is going to write 150 into the data store. What that means is that if T2 is reading updated value of A, then it is responsibility of T1 that it commits first, and after that read A operation executes. Check that. Now T2 is reading committed value. It's not reading a dirty value. In that case, these schedules are called as recoverable. Just check this schedule is recoverable. The example one, you don't have to speak a lot now. Check that whatever happens in T1 and T2, just check is there any dirty read over. Observe that T1 is writing X and T2 is reading X. Observe this very carefully. T1 is writing or updating X and T2 is reading the value updated by T1. Okay. Now in that case, it is necessary that T1 commits first and then T2 commits because dirty read is there in T2. So T2 must wait for T1 to commit and then T2 should commit. This is recoverable schedule. Whereas this schedule where the dirty read, here was the dirty read, was done by T2, but T2 is in a hurry to commit first and then T1 commits. This is non-recoverable schedule. So if you don't go much in the discussion of T1's buffer, T2's buffer, what happens in data store, this is a very nice way of finding whether the schedule is recoverable or not. So these definitions have been written by me over here. You can just pause the video and you can understand what you mean by recoverable schedule as shown over here. Okay. And then these examples we have already learned. Thank you very much.